Welcome to the Assiniboia Community Committee for this Friday, October 3rd of 2025. My name is Councillor Evan Duncan. I'll be chairing today's meeting. I'm joined by my council colleagues of Assiniboia, Councillor Dobson and Councillor Lukes. I'm also joined by members of the public service, including our senior committee clerk, Ms. Cowan. We have a short agenda today, but before we do that, I'd like to acknowledge that we're on Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Innu, and Dakota people in the national homelands of the Red River Métis, and that our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake, 41st Nation in Treaty 3 territory. Can I have somebody move the minutes of the last UCC? Moved by Councillor Dobson. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that is carried. Any other business we have to take care of before we get into the reports? We have one delegation.
We do, yes. Jeff Pratt from Landmark Planning and Design is here in support of report 2.
Okay.
Morning.
And then I have a motion, maybe 2 motions that I'd like to bring forward and add on. So we have to make I think a motion to.
Okay, we'll deal with the business then after our 2 report items.
Sure.
Okay, great. Good morning, Mr. Pratt. Thank you for joining us. You'll have 5 minutes when you introduce yourself.
Good morning. Thanks. Jeff Pratt with Landmark Planning and Design, 298 Waterfront Drive here in Winnipeg. I won't take up much of your time today. I just wanted to come and say hello more than anything, just because there's the servicing agreement that's part of a DASSF, and that doesn't happen all the time. So I just wanted to show up in case there's any questions. The public service will be able to speak to the details of that far better than I can. But suffice to say, it's related to a school that's in development in the Waverly West neighborhood, and it pertains, mostly, most importantly, to traffic calming and pedestrian access measures and some of the works that the project will be responsible for. So I'm mostly just wanted to show face in case there's any questions, and the public service is more than capable of speaking to it far better than I can. So that's all I need to say at this point.
Sure. So I will have questions of the public service, and I asked the Public Works Department to be on call. So, and most of my questions are related to active transportation. So maybe we'll call up the Public Works Department contact. So
perfect.
All righty.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
So just one more quick question here. So you're doing all the planning and interaction with it's not the school division, it's the.
So yeah, this is a really unique one. Like, we've been involved in school projects before where the division is sort of leading it, and we deal in the land use planning. Prairie Architects is doing the school design, HTFC is doing all the site design, and KGS is doing the traffic and pedestrian engineering reports and making recommendations to HTFC for how the school site should look and how it should be designed for safe access, whether you're showing up in a car, bus, on foot, or a bike or skateboard or anything else. So yeah, we're a piece of this. This school is part of a package from the province where to try and deliver schools more quickly, they're sort of doing a bunch at a time and trying to keep the designs sort of cookie cutter across a few sites, 2 of which are in the city and 2 of which are elsewhere in the province.
Sorry, say that again, the 2.
So there's 2
We're in the city.
2 in the city.
Right.
And then there's 1 in West St. Paul and 1 in Brandon. And
Right.
they're all kind of being done in the same package.
So the other one in the city is
Devonshire.
Devonshire, okay. Because there's one other school site in the Bridgewaters, but.
Yes, that would be dealt with separately.
Okay.
That's not part of what
Okay.
we're working on right now.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. I don't have any more questions of our delegation.
Just on the consult side with the public, any sort of feedback that you can share with the committee?
Yeah, it's been this one. There hasn't been a lot of engagement per se. There was an appeal filed against this school that's going to appeals committee next week on the 8th. One appeal, the grounds for appeal that were noted in the letter, the project team has, I'd say, very.
You know what? I'm going to stop you there.
Okay.
Just because the clerk has reminded me that I'm sitting on that
Sure.
body. So
Fair enough.
We won't speak specifically to the appeal, and I'll retract my question.
Okay, fair enough.
Please.
So to my knowledge, there really wasn't public consultation on this, right?
Correct.
Okay, so there's no public consultation. Here's your school. This is it.
Yeah, for the most part, that's kind of because of this unique situation and how they're being tendered and dealt with. Also the timing, everything kind of came out right as the school year was ending, and there was the feeling that if an open house was held, it probably wouldn't be well attended and, you know, could be seen as not really very effective.
Okay, so I'm fine with that. I have no more questions.
Thank you, Councilor Lukes. I think that's all. Thank you very much, Jeff.
Okay, thanks so much.
Okay.
All right, I don't think we have any other delegations at this time. We do have a short agenda today, so we can go right into the reports. We have item number 1, which is a request for extension of time subdivision use only of 100 Southtown Road. Do we want anything from the public service on this committee regarding this extension?
This is in relation to the apartment block, is that correct? Okay, I'm fine with this.
Okay, Councilor Lukes, sir.
I'll move it. For an extension of time. That's an extension of time. What is the extension of time?
That's
you're
what's
asking
coming
for?
into force provision.
Extension until October 24th.
So that's a 12-month extension? Is that what we're looking for today?
Yeah.
Okay. So council moves an extension of time to October 24, 2026. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that is carried. Move on to item number 2, which is the approval of proposed subdivision and servicing agreement for the lands boundary by Landover Drive, Castlebrook Drive, Skyline Drive, and Public Reserve. So we'll have the public service do an introduction here, and then I believe there are some questions. Good morning.
So a short form subdivision is being circulated. As part of that, it was identified that some traffic improvements are warranted to service the future school site. The applicant has submitted a transportation impact study. Public Services reviewed it. They don't have any major concerns, and we are looking to have it constructed by the applicant. Just traffic calming works, median works, and some curb extensions.
Perfect. So I'm wondering if we have Mr. Patman on the phone and we can bring him in.
We do.
Okay. Ta-da!
That was well executed there.
Okay, thank
Good
you.
morning, Mr. Fallon.
Okay, so can you hear us, Mr.
Oh,
Patman?
yes, yeah, can you hear me? I assume you can.
Okay, so because this is sort of this design of the school due to the original land agreement did not come for plan approval. So I don't know, maybe you can speak to that, or?
My understanding is that half the land was on MHRC and half the land was on LADCO, and it's now being consolidated. So I think between the two agreements, it didn't have a plan consideration.
Okay, so I know, but still, like, I think I'm fine with not having it come for plan approval, but I think there was some reason why it didn't come for plan approval. Do either of you know why? I don't think because there's 2 pieces of land.
I do not.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Patman, do you know why?
No, I don't have the information. Sorry.
Okay, well, I'm gonna look it up here because I want this on the record, and it was Mr. Veach that told me why. I found it unusual that it did not come for plan approval. And I just want to look it up here, update on Skyline Drive. Okay. Just give me a minute here. Okay, so the school site requires a conditional use in a subdivision application. The conditional use was approved and posted. Just wait here. Like, my question was why it didn't come forward for plan approval, and just give me a moment here. Okay, so here it is. The plan approval is not required for R1 lots under zoning agreements when these neighborhoods were approved. So when the neighborhoods were approved under DASZ 8 in 2012 and DASZ 33 in 2012, the property was zoned as residential 1, single family zoning. So now they're asking for a conditional use on this zoning. And that because plan approval is not required for lots under the zoning agreement when these neighborhoods were approved. So they're zoned as, this is from Robert Galston, they're zoned as R1, so that's residential single family, right? So of course we don't need plan approval for single family, but when they're doing a school, then they just ask for conditional use and then that's okay?
The zoning bylaw allows for schools under conditional use for R1. Yes.
Okay, so the zoning bylaw allows for schools under a conditional use as a conditional use under
The R1 zone.
under the R1 zoning. Okay, and because R1 zoning doesn't require plan approval, then the plans don't come forward.
Correct.
Correct. Okay, so I just wanted to clarify that because some people had asked me why it's not coming forward for plan approval. Okay, so that's clear. So now, they've applied for conditional use, so they can proceed with the school. The conditional use was appealed, I guess, right? The conditional use was appealed. They'll deal with that at the appeal. Okay, got it. Got your email there. Okay. So now the reason this is coming forward, why is this coming, the servicing agreement coming forward?
So because it's two different parcels of land, they need to consolidate so that it's a single parcel and they're not straddling the line with their structure. So it's a short form subdivision. Under the procedures bylaw, we have the authority to request a servicing agreement, in which then brings it up to this stage as a condition of the consolidation.
Okay, so that's great. So I'm very pleased about that. So now, Mr. Patman, now that we know why this is here, can we talk about the median works on Skyline Drive? Because this, always it's traffic around a school, and we just want to be clear, what are you asking for? Median works, what is that? Construct the proposed median works.
Yes, so there are several improvements that we're asking them to take a look at. On Skyline Drive, there's a pedestrian crossing that we want to create. In if you look at the photo, I guess that would be the
C, attachment C, or?
yeah, I'm just gonna look at the photo
Yeah.
and the drawings here. Sorry. So if you look at it's page 11 of the report, Schedule C. If you orient the paper so that the north arrow is pointing towards the I guess it's the eastern corner of the site.
Yeah.
There's a pedestrian corridor being created there, and we're putting a median in to assist with, like, for children crossing a street to go to the school. They can do it in 2 steps. So we're talking about the idea of having possibly a crossing guards, and so the kids will cross to the median and then continue the crossing when it's safe to go across the other side of the street. So we're adding in that median. We're making some changes to the parking on the street. We're moving a bus stop.
Hey, wait a minute, slow down here. So let's just talk about that median, okay?
Yeah.
See, we would have maybe talked about this in plan approval and such, but we didn't. So now we'll talk about it. So that median, in front of Prairie Sky Sunrise School, whatever it's called, on Ryerson, it's a raised median, like it's a raised crosswalk. and it works fantastic. Is that what you're proposing here? Raised plus the island?
I don't believe it's raised. I believe it's just the median and it's at the surface.
Why?
Well, I don't know. I would say that we look at different solutions in different areas, the volumes on the street. We've got an agreement with them that the what's going to be put in is to the satisfaction of transportation. So potentially that could be reviewed. I believe the plan was just for a controlled crossing with ground mounted signs and the median refuge island.
Right, so when they don't have crosswalks there, cars will still be zipping through this big playground area and this this school area. So I just have to say that one that was put on this street called Ryerson is probably one of the most incredible pedestrian crosswalks. When kids aren't there patrolling it, it still works.
It still has the traffic calming ability because of the raised. It's like a speed table. Yeah.
I think that's similar to crossing on Dale Boulevard where the Hart Trail is. It's also that raised crossing
Okay, on Dale Boulevard.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know that
going
one.
into Ridgewood. Yeah.
Okay, so I just really want to note that, and I'll follow up with you, but I just wanted to.
I'd say that it does say that the design in here is conceptual. So
Okay.
I believe that we've got the ability to tweak this because it's all going to be to the satisfaction of Public Works. So if we do look at it, I believe we can talk to the school. I believe we can talk to the consultant to who did this report, KGS. We've talked to them as well and see if that's an opportunity for that, because I know we all want the safest school designs.
Right, and it's great to talk to them, but you guys are the experts and the engineers, and you've seen what's happened in many other schools, so your recommendation, I would think, would be greater than these other ones. But anyways, okay, I'm clear on that, so let's go further down. You've decided where parking and no parking will go. Okay,
Yes.
and then what's happening at these crosswalks in the roundabouts? Because the roundabouts are horrible for pedestrians, as we know, so.
They can be if we don't think about how to include the crosswalks. So we've got designs where we can put the crosswalks in. When you've got lower volume roads and you've got residential crosswalks, residential roundabouts, you can make them work. And so because this is also, we're putting these crosswalks through the median islands at those roundabouts, again, you're only crossing one direction at a time, so it's safer for students.
So when you say these crosswalks, what are they? Paint and a sign? Is that what it is, or what is it?
I believe they are existing and they are paint and signs, yes, because of the
Paint and
volumes.
signs.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah. Okay, and then now you've got some of these curb extensions. So
Yeah, at the on Castlebrook Drive, at the
Sure.
driveway into the facility, the school, we're
Sure.
showing there's a small number of those TC cabs that create a bulb out to control traffic and make it a bit slower going in and out of the site.
Right, okay. And then you've got other no parking and no stopping. These are recommended. And we've got a loading zone. So where are you moving the transit stop to?
It'll be a discussion with transit just a little bit away from the crosswalks so that they aren't in conflict with one another.
So let's talk about Landover now, Landover Drive, okay? So I have a lot of calls about Landover from the standpoint of speed. So when I look at what you're proposing here, I don't really see any treatment on Landover. And
Well, we do talk about Landover in the recommendations. We say that once the school is in place, if there's traffic calming needed on a corridor like that, then it's to be provided. If you're already seeing that there's issues with things like speeding or like racing on the street, then we should talk about that now, that maybe we will fast track getting those, getting traffic calming in there, because it seems there's an agreement in place to get traffic calming done if required. It was based on adding the additional volume of traffic to and from the school. If there's already an issue, then that's something we should discuss.
So I guess my question is on Landover, okay, right now on Skyline Drive, you're putting in that one with the median. You're putting that, there's a pathway there, you're putting that one in, right?
Yep.
So why aren't we doing something similar to that on Landover? At that pathway crossing further to the north.
Let me just take a look at that section of the report. I'm just looking
And if you look it up on the map, it's
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm familiar with the area.
Okay. As you're connecting that one, I know you're connecting a pathway on both sides, but you've still got a pathway to the north that it does come off a service road. And I guess the question is, if we need traffic calming on Landover, where does that come from? From the budget of the school development?
I think it would depend on how extensive we're talking. An issue of the traffic calming would need to be. We were talking about additional traffic on Roundtree Avenue in the report on the school. If we've already got other issues that are pre-development of the school, then perhaps we should be looking at finding other ways to fund those improvements, since it's not the school making that happen. It's existing conditions. We can take a look at traffic calming on corridors that are in this area. That will assist, that will make the area safer for all residents and for student activity. Has your office already contacted the traffic management group in my division regarding that corridor?
I actually think they've done a petition. They've gone down that whole route.
Okay.
Or I think it's done, may not be done, but so I hear what you're saying. You're saying because that's preschool, like before the school.
Prior to the school.
Not
Yeah,
before
not
the
for preschool kids, no.
Sure.
Yeah. We'll take a look, like perhaps when we are doing, if we are doing traffic calming for the one project, then perhaps there'll be cost savings by combining the two. But it sounds like you're looking for those improvements to come prior to the school even going in place. So we should try and look for a solution that will make sense for construction to make it as efficient as possible. If we need to go ahead and put the traffic calming in right away, then perhaps we will need to go back to the school and say, look, we're doing the improvements here. We have some ideas for the improvements. Can we do them as a single phase rather than two separate phases?
Okay, and then I guess the other thing is all the sign, like when you come out of the schools, when you're coming, you drive in and then you come out of the school. This is what happened at Cole South Point School. We needed directional signage, which way to go in, don't turn left, go.
Oh, yes, yeah.
You know, all of that.
That can all go in for opening day or
Sure.
prior to opening day. We can arrange that, because we've talked in this report about the signage being part of the improvements that get made. So we can make sure that all that signage is worked out, and likely talking to KGS who did this report, they can likely give us some direction on that, but we can also provide direction as we're the authority on the signage throughout the city.
Because if we think of those other two new schools that we did, Bison Run and then the elementary school, we analyzed the heck out of it. And which is great, and still the day of, we still had to make a modification.
There's always a need for tweaks, I know. We're trying to get better as we get more experience under our belts at the public service. So the things we've learned from how to operate schools, we can get the signage to be as accurate as possible, and didn't do any sort of last minute tweaks once the school is up and running.
Got it. Okay. Okay, so then, and does that all come out of the school's budget, or whose budget does that come out of?
It looks like for this, we've got budget from this the school. But if we have to add like one or two signs, that's such a nominal cost. It's like $500, $1,000. That's covered in the budget for transportation.
And I guess we don't know the population of this school. Does anyone know the population?
Yeah, I think we do. We said that we believe opening day 675 students, and then
600.
going to 800 students.
Okay, so yes, any school like that will have a lot of vehicular traffic around it. So the transit stops. I guess are we changing, adding transit, nothing, like how's that gonna work? That's,
There's modifications being made to the locations of the stops, but not changes to the service.
Yeah.
We talk about it briefly in the report that for a school like this, I think it's a K-8 school, we don't anticipate a lot of students using transit to get around to the schools, but that service is in place in the community, so there's the potential for that, but it's not like it's not the majority mode. Like, it's not the main mode to get to and from
because it
school.
is elementary school.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just the K-8.
yeah.
Counselor Dobson?
Yeah, I have a question. So this is a K-8. Where are the school buses gonna be stopping?
There's perhaps planning and talk to this, but there is I believe on site, there's you can pull through the site, and there's also parking lots. Part of the pull through, I believe, is for the school buses to pull in and out on site rather than on the road.
Yeah,
Mr. Pavitt, do we have any drop zones identified for parents here? That seems to be the common issue throughout all the communities, is where these drop zones take place.
This sort of thing does vary from school to school, but it looks like there's both on the site there's a zone, and also on the street there's a zone on Castlebrook Drive. It will really depend on, once the school's open, what the mode split is. It could be that the public really adopts walking and cycling to the school, because the area is filled with a lot of pedestrian amenities. So it might be that there's a low number of people using it, but if we're looking at other schools, many of them do have large numbers of people traveling to and from the school by car. So they have made both plans for on the site and adjacent to the site for zones for that.
I think that we need to be extremely cautious with how little area we have for these drop-offs, because that is a huge
It's significant, definitely. And
issue that always ends up on the counselor of the area's plate, and then ultimately your plate in traffic division there. So Counselor Lukes had mentioned not coming back for plan approval. Would that exclude her from being involved in that conversation about these drop-off areas?
like you have one drop-off area here, no parking loading zone, which is like, I'm gonna guess maybe 10 cars. And you have a lot of parking. So here's what's gonna happen is the childcare facility,
Yeah.
those people won't have access to parking, or they'll have to pay for it. They won't pay for it. Same with teachers. They have access to parking to pay for it, probably don't want to pay for it. They'll park in the neighborhood. I'll have to do exactly what I did with the Cole South Point, put all kinds of 2-hour minimum parking up so that the residents so that it can be shared use and not a full daytime parking, because the school doesn't want to put more parking on their lot. I get that. No one wants.
yeah, no one wants to add acres of asphalt on a school site. You want that to be green space, right?
Right, but what it does is it inundates the neighborhood with parking. Okay, so we can deal with that. But like to Councillor Duncan's point, you've got this one loading zone on the south side of the school. You've got two on Skyline. You've got two parking zones. Like honestly, they should be drop-off zones.
Yeah, the report that was done, and I'm late to the game, I should note, my staff did review this and worked with the consultant on the report, but the report does note that it did not go into detail on the loading zones or the parking on the site. It mainly limited itself to looking at the impacts on the neighborhood in terms of traffic.
on the traffic, but not the
Yeah.
parking. So this is the other thing, like what is the parking? I mean, we have no idea what the parking is on the site. How many parking
Yeah, we
spots?
do. We have that. That's covered in the report. I believe it's 55 stalls.
In total?
Yeah, it says 80 staff parking spaces, 55 to be constructed for opening condition and 25 to be added later. It says it also includes 4 bus loading spaces and 117 bicycle parking spaces.
So what do you mean by added later? Later to what?
It talks in this report about the school starting out at 675 capacity and growing to 800 student capacity in the long term.
I must be missing that in the report. Where does it say that?
That's in the actual the report supplied by KGS Group. I don't know if there's other information available.
Sure.
If you need.
So 17, so I don't have any of this information. We had a little run through on that. We didn't talk about the bike parking. We have at South Point School, probably 100 kids that ride their bikes to school. So you're saying this has only got 17 bike
No,
parks?
117.
Oh,
117,
100 and something,
yeah.
good.
Not,
Okay,
not
perfect.
17. Yeah.
Perfect, okay. So, yeah, it's awkward that we don't see any of this information, that we can't relay it, so can you send me that report?
I believe so. I will. I don't know if Cindy already shared it, but I will talk to KGS and we'll get that information to you.
So recap on the number of parking spots then?
It says the site includes 80 staff parking spaces, 55 to be intended to be constructed for opening day, and the remaining 25 added later, and also 4 bus loading spaces.
Where will the 25 be later? Where will they be on the map? Do you think that is to the east?
You've got, if you look at the school is kind of in like the lower corner of the site.
Yeah.
You've got sort of this triangle of land at the bottom where you've got the driveway. The driveway connects Castlebrook to the Skyline.
Right.
That triangle below that, there's a parking lot that's sort of split in half with a pedestrian corridor going through it. The left side is for the daycare. The right side is for the staff parking.
Yeah.
I believe that the staff parking only takes up half of one side. It can be extended. So there's space there within that green space for the parking lot to be enlarged.
So then the one to the east of the school is being constructed at that point in time?
I believe that all that parking is being constructed. It's in the Figure 3 site plan.
Yeah.
It's just that there's a little pocket of land where you see that the school has some dotted lines where it seems like the school can be extended out.
Right.
To the south of the driveway, the south of the road that's there, there's
Yeah.
a space there that can be for additional parking if needed. Now, depending on how fast the school grows, they may say we need to build the full school very quickly because there's such a demand for it, or it could be several years away.
And we're not getting into the actual design of the school or any of that.
No, that's this information that was supplied in the traffic report because the volume match is related to the number of students.
So the traffic report, does it even deal with, this loop in front of the school and the parking lot? Or is it just strictly the perimeter?
It's primarily the roads on the traffic on the adjacent roads.
Yeah. I mean, I could only envision, and again, not your problem, but probably Councilor Luke's problem. I can only envision 600 to 800 students with even 400 drop-offs, and the main entrance attaching to a loop lane there in front with another, how many parking spots? 80 something parking spots. It seems not well thought out. Plus the cluster that's going to take place on Castlebrook because nobody's dropping off on Landover to have their small children walk across the field unattended. I mean, I would like to see this plan take into consideration larger schools in either other municipalities in Canada that see these types of numbers, or in the United States that have actual drop zones for these.
Yeah, there's further analysis can be done on these schools that looks at the modeling of the loading and how quickly you get cars through in and out,
Yeah,
and how is that marshaled by the school. Some have like a valet parking system where
totally.
the
Line
kids
up.
there's an expectation the parent will drop off the kid based on the surname at a specific time, and so the cars are coming through in one long flow. You're expected to be there so you can be in and out, not sitting there for an extended period of time. It's a very regimented system, but I've seen that offered in the state schools in the United States. Yes.
Right, yeah. I just don't see us being able to accommodate that with this current layout, which is going to cause huge issues, not only just for the school, but then people that are driving through, which typically will incite frustration and then some dangerous driving as well, so.
I mean, there's only two roads really in and out, Skyline and Landover. The others just dead end so, I mean, it is true. It's going to be very, 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 very chaotic. And we're gonna do the best we can do. But I don't know how you put a school in an area like this and it not be chaotic. I mean, virtually every school right now is very chaotic in the morning and the drop off and pick up. But when it's in a really tight residential area and you can see the collector, basically Skyline, Castlebrook and Landover, everything else is residential. Yeah, it's, we'll have Silver Creek calling, Windflower calling, these residents, Rowan Tree will be calling, they'll all be saying people are cutting down our lanes to get to the school. And this is what happens when it's dropped into the heart of a residential neighborhood. But people want to be able to walk to the school. We want that. We want them. Hopefully, we've got enough pathways in here, which I really, really know we do, that if people use them, that'll help alleviate the problem. But yeah, it'll be high drama.
So after today's vote here, is there an opportunity for any type of changes before this project is absolutely complete or absolutely past council?
Perhaps a question for the delegate who was here, if he's still around, is would there be an interest in a follow-up, like some further analysis to buttress what we've already got? It looks like this was a very good report from KGS. Just there's a couple of questions that we need to get further information on that maybe was not included in the scope of the original report and could quickly be assessed, or at least have some better better prep for when this thing does open, that we would have some backup plans in case we need to modify the loading.
Yeah, Councillor Lutz.
Well, I don't know. I guess we can't.
Are we able to hear from?
Right?
We can do whatever we want.
Sure. Consensus. Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
We're
great.
gonna have him back. One more question here. So, Mr. Patman, what will happen is because of the school going in, streets like Silver Creek, Windflower, Rowan Tree, those streets will be used and they will probably be demanding traffic calming on them. Now,
we're expecting the volumes of traffic throughout the area to go up by small amounts. So they will never, like in the report, there was only one location where we saw like a level of service at an intersection that was noteworthy. The others were all operating at level A, which is the best level. The volumes already are low in the area. The additional school traffic is low.
well, they're low because there's no school there.
Yeah, but they're also low because there's still development to be completed in the neighborhoods. I don't want to say that this school has to pay for traffic calming throughout the whole entire residential community here, but they have said that they will provide some improvements. If we have to keep looking, if we are looking at improvements throughout the area, then that's part of a larger study of the area.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So right now, everyone's fine on Silver Creek and Windflower and Rowan Tree. School comes in I start getting all kinds of calls. People are speeding. People are speeding on Silver Creek, Windflower, Rowan Tree. They all run out and they do their,
Assessment and yes, and their petitions and
Right.
yes, like
And-
anywhere else in Winnipeg,
right?
yes.
Then they come back and then the Public Works Department goes, yes, we need to put speed tables in or curb bump ups or all of that. All of that is because the school moves in.
Is it though? Or is it because you've also got these other zones that are still coming online with numbers like 800 extra homes or 300 multifamily homes? These areas are that in part the way the roads are designed allows for speeding and stuff to take place as part of the initial design of the community. We should be designing the traffic calming into the original design and or changing the roads so that people can't speed on them. So they don't
Okay,
need to put that add-on measures after, say, the last thing that goes in is built, and then we're looking at having to remediate the whole neighborhood.
But I hear you that all these other developments are coming in, but those developments will use collectors. Like those new people that haven't built yet are not going to be using Windflower and Silver Creek to get home. They're not going to be using Rowan Tree. Anyways, I hear what you're saying. I live it. I hear what I'm saying. Schools are a traffic.
They can be they're a challenging thing to add to into a neighborhood because they create peak periods at the morning and afternoon when the kids all are coming to school at the same time. They're all leaving at the same time. So that's unlike residential development where there's traffic happening all day long. But those still have peaks as well. You still have the morning peak and the afternoon peak. It's just a lot more concentrated at a school because it's all like at a very specific time of the day.
Right, but what's gonna happen is people will wanna escape from the chaos around Castlebrook, Landover and Skyline, so they'll zip down Silver Creek onto Windflower, or they'll slip down Windflower. Anyways, all of that will come out, then it'll take another 3 or 4 years to, try and get speed humps in, so whatever.
Well, perhaps with this one, because this neighborhood is still in the growth period, perhaps we should be on top of this and say, look, the school has triggered the need for this one to be prioritized, and we need to look at the traffic. We need to get faster at doing the traffic calming, so it's not just ask for it now and wait have 3 years of angry people before the improvement goes in.
Right.
They should be a lot closer to. There's an issue to be solved. Let's get the solution in the same season, the same year.
So I'm hoping in the road safety report, the annual report that you're bringing forward, and that you're going to be talking about schools and, such like.
Yes, we've been talking about that, yes.
That will continue prioritizing schools and areas around schools that, when we get traffic calming requests that come in, that they would be prioritized maybe over other traffic calming requests. But anyways, we can talk about that when that road report comes forward.
Yes, excellent suggestion.
Okay. It is what it is, right? Like it is what it is. And we do the best we can do, but that's all we can do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is great for the community.
Oh, it's fantastic, but it
excellent.
creates many other trickle down
Yeah,
issues.
Yeah. Again, it is what it is, like you're saying. However, I don't know that this plan for traffic management is the best we can do, I suppose, is what I'm saying.
Okay,
Did you want to hear from our delegate again? Thank you. I don't think, is there anything else for Mr. Patman if we let him?
yeah, I don't think there's anything else for Mr. Patman. I like the way the report is written, that if the public service feels something's needed in relation to the school going in, that it's up to the Director of Public Works to ensure that we get it to happen related to traffic calming.
Yeah.
It's not super prescriptive, so.
Okay, thank you. And I will follow up with both the public service and the applicant, I believe, in the near future. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Okay, I don't think we need the proponent to come back.
Okay, great. Thank
Okay.
you. Have a motion.
Okay, sure. So I'll make a motion to accept the public services recommendations.
Great. So that is 1 through 5.
Yeah.
Counselor Lukes moves public service recommendation as listed in the report. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, and that is carried. We, that concludes our regular reports. We do have a public hearing, but that will not begin until 10:30, which is in approximately 9 minutes time. So we will take a brief break and then we'll reconvene for the public
Oh, yeah,
hearing.
right. We need
Oh,
to do the firework motion.
My
Whoops, oh, yeah,
apologies.
sorry.
Yeah.
And what about the other one?
Since you grabbed
Oh, all right.
Okay, Counselor Lukes has some new business here that she would like the committee to consider. We need a motion
To
to
suspend the rules and
suspend
spell
the
out.
rules and hear new business. Counselor Dobson moves, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, that is carried.
And my computer's just seizing now, so you have the fireworks motion. Okay, just give me 1 minute here. Technology.
Would you like me to read?
Here we
this?
go. Okay, sure. If you'd like to read the fireworks motion into the record.
Whereas fireworks are often used in celebration of joyous cultural or national holidays, and whereas in urban environments, fireworks can be very celebrative, but can also be very disruptive and dangerous, and whereas many yards within the city of Winnipeg do not meet the minimum requirements to accommodate fireworks, and whereas cities across Canada are implementing updated rules and guidelines related to setting off fireworks on private and public properties, therefore be it resolved that the Standing Policy Committee on Community Services be requested to direct the Winnipeg Public Service to complete a cross-jurisdictional scan and report back on the use, permitting, and penalties for operating fireworks on private and public property, and include the following. 1, comparisons of fines for the use of fireworks without a permit in other cities. 2, a listing of cities in which the use or sale of fireworks is banned. 3, specific provisions from other jurisdictions which govern the use of fireworks on public and private property. 4, additional recommendations to control the use of fireworks in the city of Winnipeg.
So if this could come back in 30, 60, 19, like 120 days?
You can certainly incorporate that into their request.
Sure. Just so yeah, so we love fireworks, right? We love fireworks. Fireworks can be effective and dangerous if they're not used properly. And many cities across Canada are looking and have looked at and revised how they are dealing with fireworks in their city as we increase our density and urbanization and add many people to our communities who love using fireworks for many different occasions. I think we need to do a little deeper dive into what other cities are doing and learning from best practices on what works and what doesn't work. And maybe we have to update our fireworks policy and bylaws. So I'm putting that forward for discussion.
It's good, good idea.
Yeah, I'm open to the spirit of this to find out more information. I'm not open to banning fireworks in the city of Winnipeg. I wouldn't be supportive if the public service is to come back and say that other cities are banning it, and that would be our move. So I'm happy to hear from the public service on this. However, I just want to be on the record that I would not support anything that would ban the use of fireworks in the city of Winnipeg.
All right, good. And that's the spirit of this, is to look and see what other cities are doing, to have a good open discussion on it. I know that some individuals need to be reined in on their use of fireworks, and we'll just see what comes back.
Sure.
Perfect. Okay,
120, you said? 120?
sure. 120 days.
Okay.
Okay.
All right then. So Councillor Luke's motion, as it appears before you, call the question. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that is carried.
Okay. All right. I have a second motion here. All right. So I've already paid for the sign.
Okay,
It's the wording.
we can remove that condition if you wish.
Mhm.
So that it would just read like the resolve, and then it would end at the
Okay,
Voted.
perfect. So I have a motion coming forward. So this is in regards to the cricket fields in Lavaria Park. And it's a very simple motion. The cricket fields in Lavaria Park are leased, like the restaurant is leased in Kildonan Park. And we just want to put a sign up saying, Manitoba Cricket Association, La Barrier Park Cricket Fields. So we have to go through this process to put a sign up. It will come to community services. So the motion is, be it resolved that the Standing Policy Committee on Community Services be requested to direct the Winnipeg Public Service to name the cricket fields in La Barrier Park, the Manitoba Cricket Association, La Barrier Park Cricket Fields. I've already funded the sign through land dedication. There was some confusion basically on the wording of the sign. That's why this motion is coming forward. That we name the cricket fields, Manitoba Cricket Association, La Barrier Park Cricket Fields. Just like we've named the restaurant, or we've put up a sign about the restaurant that's leased in Kildonan Park. So pretty simple, put a sign up. And the sign in the La Barrier Park Cricket Fields will complement the existing signage in the parks. So that's the motion.
So if this is approved by community services, the sign will be erected. The question is to the clerk.
Yes, sorry, did you want me to incorporate something about that in there, Counselor? That, public service be requested to, or public service be directed to rename or to name the field and install the appropriate signage provided by the area counselor? Or-
Well, they make it up, like they make the sign up. They've made it,
Sign maybe?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
and install the required signage.
yes.
Okay,
And you need a timeline on that?
Yeah, to make a sign. So probably like in the next 60 days.
within 60 days. Okay, so it would be it resolved that the Standing Policy Committee be requested to direct the public service to name the cricket fields in La Barrier Park, the Manitoba Cricket Association, La Barrier Park Cricket Fields, and install any required signage within 60 days.
Great.
Okay, as the clerk had noted there, we'll call that to question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That is carried. And I believe that concludes our new business. We are very close here. Do we need a brief break here, committee, or can we move right into it?
Let's keep going.
We have to wait till 10:30.
We have about 30 seconds here. So we want to count in harmony here.
Okay.
We'll hang tight here. I apologize for this awkwardness as we wait for 10:30. Great. It appears as though we've reached the 10:30 hour here and we can move into our public hearing now. We have two items that are a combined hearing, I believe. I will turn it over to our clerk.
Okay. In accordance with the City of Winnipeg Charter and the Development Procedures Bylaw, the process the committee will follow is the applicant will be heard first, followed by those in support of the application. Next, those registered in opposition are heard, followed by those registered for information. Finally, the applicant may return to speak in rebuttal to comments made. However, no new information is permitted. Please note that when your name is called, it is your opportunity to speak. However, you are not obligated to do so. For a more in-depth overview of the public hearing process and other information pertaining to what happens before, during, and after a public hearing, please consult the City Clerk's Department website. Please note that all public hearings are recorded and will be part of the public record. Should you have any questions after the hearings have concluded, please contact the City Clerk's Department. Item 1 is the subdivision and rezoning at 736 Haney Street under file DAS Z 28 of 2025. In accordance with the City of Winnipeg Charter and the Development Procedures Bylaw, this is a combined hearing, and the following item will also be heard at the same time. Namely, item 2 is a variance at 736 Haney Street under file DAB 180335 of 2025D. Would like a brief overview from the public service?
Yes, please.
Thank you. So the subject property is located on the west side of Haney Street. This is between Eldridge Avenue and Ridgewood Avenue. This is in the Elmhurst neighborhood of the Charleswood Westwood Tuxedo Ward. The site is approximately 1.8 0.87 acres in area and currently contains a one-story single-family dwelling. The property is located in the Established Neighborhoods Recent Communities Policy Area under Complete Communities. And it is currently zoned R1E, which is a residential single-family estate zoning district. The applicant proposes to subdivide the site into 4 separate lots and rezone 3 of these lots to the R1L residential single-family large zoning district. This is to allow the construction of 3 new single-family dwellings that will be facing Haney Street. The plan of subdivision submitted by the applicant shows that these 3 lots, 2 will have widths of 52 feet and approximately 8,500 square feet. And one of these 3 lots facing Haney will have a width of 69 feet and a lot area of approximately 11,300 square feet. The 4th proposed lot on the west side of the site is proposed to be landlocked. The reason rezoning is required for this subdivision is the subject property does not have the full range of municipal services in that land drainage is accommodated through ditches on Haney Street rather than piped land drainage. And servicing policies in complete communities accommodate residential infill subdivision on sites like this that don't have the full range of municipal services, but this is subject to criteria. One of these criteria is that the lots must meet the minimum lot sizes of the zoning bylaw. And in the existing R1E zoning district, the minimum lot size is 20,000 square feet. The lots they're proposing are less than 20,000 square feet. And so because of that, they must be rezoned to the R1L district in order to meet the criteria of complete communities. The R1L district allows a minimum lot area of 5,500 square feet. So these would fit within that. The proposed development is also the subject of an associated variance application concerning the proposed lot sizes of lots 1, 2, and 3, and concerning the establishment of a landlocked lot 4. The public service supports the applications because the proposal is consistent with complete communities in that it adds to the supply of housing in the neighborhood at a scale in line with the surrounding context. The proposal is designed in a manner that is sensitive to the surrounding context in terms of its lot area and lot widths. And the recommended servicing agreement will ensure that the proposed development will not preclude the future extension of the William Clement Parkway, which is will in one day in future run through the western portion of the site. That's my summary, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee before I? Okay, I know that we are doing cash in lieu. However, if, which I'm not opposed to, I'm just going to ask the question. The William R. Clement Parkway has a few egress points to the east on its existing path. I don't note any possibilities of egress points to the east in its future extension. Would this not be something that the city would be interested in maintaining through actual land dedication rather than cash? You potentially have an egress point at some point along that stretch?
Public Works did not identify that as a criteria at this time.
If there's no way in and out, it's going to be a long stretch of, unless we start annexing or taking property from people to make pathways out.
Under this application, we're already taking a fair bit of the land for the William Clement Parkway.
That was my second question, but so no, we didn't consider that.
I'm not aware if we did.
Is there any confusion on what I'm asking there, or?
There's no confusion.
Okay.
I understand you are looking for an egress route to take a path to Hain.
So So which was the case in the initial phase, which is not a nice complement to the development of that parkway instead of making it feel like a big tunnel tube down the gut of a community. So no, the answer is
The answer is no. It did not come up in conversation. This is not really mid-block. It's pretty close to Eldridge. So I would anticipate that if additional egresses are warranted, it would probably happen further to the south.
Okay.
And then it doesn't look like we have one yet.
okay. All right. Thank you. And then to your point there, I just want clarification on the R1E piece, the landlocked piece. That is still the ownership of the applicant, correct?
So as the plan considerations, we are changing the proposal that parcel opens as right away and we pay him our land fee for it.
Okay. So on our mapping system, it will be identified as
Open right away,
right, the public road, like how they mark it on iView.
public road, yes.
Okay. So then that brings me to my other question of, can we indicate somewhere in this public service recommendation, something along the lines of, I don't know, essentially my wish would be that any future property owners here, essentially there's something in their sale agreement or caveat that they are fully apprised that what do we call it? What's the major road called? Yeah, what's the actual, what do they call it? Like, not local, not arterial. Arterial road will be at the rear of their property.
If that is your wish, we could accommodate
I
it.
want to make it crystal clear to people, because if they're investing, I would assume that you're not going to build much less than the $600,000 to $800,000 price point here. I want it crystal clear to those folks that there will be a roadway in their backyard. Might not be tomorrow, might not be 10 years from now, but there will be a roadway.
Can you show it like somehow?
Well, this is the complaint I get, is nobody told me this.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of an example. Off the top of my head, we could put a condition that there's a caveat registered on title.
Yeah.
Of an agreement. I wish I had a couple minutes to.
Yeah, you can have time. I don't mind pausing.
Yeah.
I want to get this right, because it might not be my problem as city councilor, depending on the timeline, but if it is mine, I want to clearly point to their agreement that they said that they were apprised of this.
It's a very good thought.
Okay. I love this, to be honest with you. This is exactly what the community wants. They want things that look like their community. And this will. I think that the public service gave this some really good thought, and I think these lots will be snapped up real quick. Infill in the neighborhood. This accomplished it without upsetting the adjacent neighbors. So I'll be supportive, but I would like to give the public service some time to include what we had discussed there. Is there any other questions at this time?
Just clarify for me where that road will go.
Directly in the backyard through that R1E piece.
Right.
It's a really tight span there. They'll have to be creative on how they actually accomplish this.
And what does it connect to?
Connects to, there'll be a change somewhere along Wilkes there, and then they'll connect into the future William Clement Parkway South, and then back down through your neighborhood. Bishop, essentially, or sorry, not Bishop, Abinogi Mikina.
Yeah, good point.
Okay.
Have you seen this before? Has this come forward before? It feels familiar.
At this property or other sites? So
No, this particular property. No,
No.
maybe similar sites. Okay,
none in my time.
all right.
So process here with the hearing, would you recommend that we pause or that we hear from the applicant?
You can hear from the applicant. They should have an opportunity to rebut
Sure.
ideally if you're looking to add a condition on the item.
Okay, so then we can hear from the applicant and then the applicant will have an opportunity to rebut once public service has prepared something. So, or is the committee prepared to move forward? Yes?
Yeah,
Okay, great.
yeah.
No other questions at this time of the public service. Back over to the clerk.
Okay, so we have the applicant here with us in person, Selver Planensic. Would you like to speak to the committee? You have up to 5 minutes if you wish.
Yeah, I want to like, I just want to let.
Please come to the table here and
Okay, thank
yeah,
you.
you got up to 5 minutes. So up just at the head of the table.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I just want to summarize my application, like when I bought the property, it was very in bad condition. I just start to clean everything before we start this application. Before I start, I send the letter to all our neighbors to see if they agree. First option was 4 lots in the front, and after that we decide 3 lots. All of the neighbor, we don't have any complaint. I delivered 85 letter. I spoke with around the neighbors. They are agree, even they are a little bit happy because this subdivision will be just like a positive effect to the neighborhood. And all the agreement, the city and all this stuff, like all this stuff, we will do it how it's, and that's it.
Well, I appreciate you doing your due diligence to speak to the neighbors. I heard from some of them that said that they would support this as well. So appreciate you doing some legwork on that. Just in our discussion with the public service, mentioning putting a condition on the title that they're essentially anybody would sign off on knowing that there would be a major arterial route in the future right away behind them. Do you have any opposition to that being a part of the?
No, I'm fine because all the neighbors know like that on the back will be road, and almost everyone that I talk with them, they said, you know, that the road will be on the back. I said, yes, we know.
Okay. Okay. I don't have any other questions. Any other questions? No, seeing none from the committee. Thank you very much. You'll have an opportunity if there's more discussion to speak again.
Okay, thanks.
All right. We'll take a brief break and then we'll come back. Welcome back to the Assiniboia Community Committee. We are in our public hearing, which is a combined hearing of item 1 and 2. The public service has had an opportunity to draft an additional item here to the intent of the committee, myself in particular. If possible, could we have the clerk read that out?
Sure. So this is an amendment to Appendix B, the report of the Administrative Coordinating Group. In Section 2, adding a new Clause 9 titled William Clement Parkway. A, the owner shall acknowledge that Lot 4 is intended to become an arterial roadway, William Clement Parkway. B, the owner shall be responsible for informing any future owners of Condition 9A. And C, the developer must or shall permit the city. Shall, okay. Developer shall permit the city to file a caveat against the title of each such lot, an agreement against the title of each such lot, an agreement to this effect. Is that? The developer shall permit the city to file a caveat against the title of each such lot, an agreement to this effect. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
You're making me doubt myself, but
Sorry, it just sounds.
It's wrong.
It is awkward in that and, but that's.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, it's to give us options, whether it's a service agreement or an individual agreement. That's a little bit more isolated.
Okay, does the committee have any questions on this? No? And it accomplishes the intent that I was hoping for. Essentially, for those that are listening in layman's terms, that there will be no confusion around any future property owner that the William Clement Parkway will be extended in the rear of their yards to the west, going north, south. Okay, we now have to give the opportunity to the applicant to rebut anything that they've heard, if they so choose.
So, Selver, you have the opportunity to speak in rebuttal to the comments that you heard.
Oh, it's okay. I'm okay.
You're okay? Okay.
Okay. Okay.
I'm prepared to move on this now then. If, Councilor Lukes, will you take the chair?
Yeah, got the chair.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll move that the report of the Winnipeg Public Service be taken as read.
All in favor?
Aye. I'll
Carried.
move that the receipt of, public representations be concluded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
I'll move that the recommendation of the Winnipeg Public Service as amended.
Be concurred in with an amendment.
Okay, sorry, I will recommend that the Winnipeg Public Service be concurred in with an amendment and forwarded to the Standing Policy Committee on Property and Development. And my supporting reasons are that this will develop new single-family lots in the Charleswood neighborhood that is keeps in context with the residential R1 large lots that it received community support. And that although modest, it will be going from one single-family home to 3 single-family homes, which does increase density without having any adverse effects on the adjacent surrounding properties.
Okay,
Those are my supporting reasons.
okay. Support them. Any other comments? No? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
And I'll move that the public hearing with respect to this application be concluded.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried.
Please note the committee's decision please note the committee has made a recommendation on this matter that will now proceed to council. No further representations are permitted on the subdivision and rezoning, and all persons registered for the public hearing will receive notice when the matter is to be considered by council.
Okay,
I'll move on to the variance now. I'll move that the report of the Winnipeg Public Service be taken as read.
all in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
I'll move that the receipt of public representations be concluded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
I'll move that in accordance with subsection 2473 of the City of Winnipeg Charter, that the variance is consistent with Plan Winnipeg and any applicable secondary plan does not create any substantial adverse effects on the amenities, use, safety, and convenience of the adjoining properties and adjacent area, including any area separated from the property by street or waterway, and is the minimum modification of a zoning bylaw required to relieve any injurious effect of the zoning bylaw on the applicant's property, and is compatible with the area in which the property to be affected is situated. My supporting reasons I'd like to be reflected as they were in number 1 for the subdivision and rezoning. However, I would like to add specifically to the variance on the lot sizes, although they are smaller than the required 20,000 in this neighborhood, a reasonable modification to 11,325.5 square feet and 8,535.5 square feet is still more than reasonable to reflect the surrounding neighborhood.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
And I will move that the recommendation of the Winnipeg Public Service as this does not have an amendment to it, correct? Sorry, I apologize. The recommendation of the Winnipeg Public Service be concurred in and the variance be approved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried.
And I'll move that the public hearing with respect to this application be concluded.
Favor?
Aye.
Carried.
Please note the committee's decision with respect to this application may be appealed. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included in the order issued, which will be mailed to all persons registered.
Thank you very much. That brings us to the end of our public hearings and our regular reports of the Assiniboia Community Committee. Could I have a councillor move adjournment?
I'll move adjournment.
Thank you, Councillor Lukes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that is carried. Thank you very much. We will see you back at the next Assiniboia Community Committee.